self-care and self-love. These are words we hear a lot. In fact, I'm pretty sure that my very first video I ever uploaded was tips on self-care. They are important to understand and to differentiate. And there's a third one, self-acceptance. Today, I'm sharing with you a story that I hope will highlight the differences between the three, as well as showing you the importance of cultivating all three in your life. My name is Sarah, and on this channel, we talk about self-development around the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and financial aspects of our lives. On October 1st of this year, I got the opportunity to see my own growth in pretty much all 5 of these areas. The opportunity was awful. It hurt a lot in many ways, and it brought up a lot of pain and insecurities that I haven't had to deal with in a very long time. That being said, it was one of the greatest moments of my year because I got to see how far I've come with my self-love, my self-care, and my self-acceptance. Before I get into the story, I want to quickly clarify the differences between the three. Self-care is often mistaken for self-love, and Alexandra's Girly Talk does a really great video on this. I'm gonna link it down below, and I highly suggest you watch it regardless of if you identify as a girl or not. It is just a human practice that we should all be showing ourselves self-care. Self-care is, in a nutshell, doing things for your future self even though the present you doesn't want to do it. Paying bills, taking a walk, cleaning your house, taking a shower, going to bed early. This is all self-care. Self-love, on the other hand, means embracing the parts of you that are constant work in progress and just enjoying yourself. Loving yourself can be checking yourself out in a mirror, whether you're dressed up for a black tie event or standing there in your pajamas. It can mean buying yourself chocolate and flowers because you know you love those things. Self-love is showing the same kindness to yourself that you would show to a friend in your situation. I guess I would say that self-care is external, while self-love is internal. And lastly, we have self-acceptance. Accepting the things about ourselves that we don't love, that we don't care for, the things we might be trying to change, and also accepting the things about ourselves that we can't change. Body type, our past, our lack of skill when it comes to certain things. Self-acceptance is the area that I have spent the most time working on, and it is also where today's story begins. At the beginning of this month, I was signed up to take a natural facelift massage course. As an RMT, I need to get credits for continuing education, and in order to get these credits, I have to take a course every year or 2. So this natural facelift massage course was the one I had chosen. I walked into the room, greeted the other students that were there and the teacher, and sat down. After about 3 minutes and some odd looks from the instructor, she asked if she could speak to me outside for a moment. I got up and followed her outside, thinking that maybe this had something to do with my payment or something like that. I was really confused. Once we stepped outside, she said, "I'm very disappointed that you would show up looking like this. Clearly, you cannot take this course with your condition." I was very confused because I wasn't sure what condition she was talking about, and the way she was looking at me was as if she was very inconvenienced and sort of disgusted. Standing in front of her, I asked what she was talking about, what condition was she referring to, and she said, "You obviously have some sort of health condition for your skin to be this bad." The tone I just said it in was far nicer than she's ever said it. I started shaking, trying to control my breathing, in shock that this was happening, reminding myself to keep my cool because I have heard worse. I was being kicked out of this massage course because of my skin. I asked her, why couldn't I take this course? Yes, I've had acne and I have some acne, but I didn't have anything starting. I had mostly scarring on my neck. She told me, "You have open sores on your face. It would be completely unfair of me to make my students work on your face." And then she changed that to say, it would be unfair to her students because she wouldn't allow them to work on my face, so then they wouldn't get the practice. And she said some other things that were really hurtful, but nothing I haven't heard before. My skin has been my insecurity for the last 13, almost 14 years. I have heard comments from family, from strangers, and of course from myself. But most of them, while awfully rude and hurtful to hear, were well-intentioned. The most hurtful part of this situation was her tone and her look. I've never experienced disdain for my face before. She looked at me like I was disgusting. Like the acne on my face was a choice I made. Like I haven't washed my face in years, and I have a diet of sugar and junk food. The moment I got back into my car to drive home, I was already sobbing so hard I couldn't breathe. I was hurt, I was humiliated, and this good skin day I thought I'd been having disappeared, and instead I felt like I had boils and cysts on my skin. I felt embarrassed that I had even dared leave the house and shown my face to the public. And then I got control of myself. I looked in the rearview mirror to start drying my tears, and I didn't see any of that. I saw some acne scarring. I saw some redness, both from skin sensitivities and the crying, obviously. But I didn't see anything disgusting. I didn't see anything resembling open sores. I did not see what she saw. This is when I had to tap into my self-love. See, this woman is not the first to make a judgment on me and speak to me in a rude and disrespecting tone just because of my skin. One thing I've really been working on in the past few years is that I don't care what other people say to me if I never went to them for advice in the first place. So in this moment, I reminded myself of all the awful things people have said to me before and how they don't affect me anymore. I worked through them, I'll work through this. However, I still was really hurt, and old insecurities started rising again to the top. The voices I've spent years trying to overcome that tell me, you're ugly, you're disgusting, you obviously don't do a good enough job with your skin, so therefore you are not enough. You must be unlovable. Those voices started telling me these things, and it was like a battle of me trying to tell myself, no, that's not what I believe anymore, and a bigger voice going, then how come you still feel this way? And then a deeper feeling inside of me took over and reminded me, this is what you've trained for. You've practiced self-love specifically so that you can get over these moments. You are still beautiful, and you don't feel like you aren't beautiful right now because only you get to define that. You are right now hurt by the situation and her tone and her words. Don't confuse the two. As I drove myself home, I told myself out loud, I am beautiful, I am loved, I am worthy of respect. That self-doubt and insecurity was trying so hard to battle, but my self-love was stronger because it's like a muscle. And like any muscle, for it to get stronger, you have to train it. And God knows I've been training. If you find it hard to love yourself, I think mantras would be really beneficial to you. The ones that I use are specific to my own insecurities and things I need to overcome, because I haven't always felt beautiful or loved or worthy of respect. There have been years where I let other people treat me poorly, and I expected them to treat me poorly because of my own lack of self-love. So I had to train myself to know and to see myself as beautiful and loved and worthy of respect. So whatever areas in your life that you struggle with self-love, write down what you would tell your friend or your younger sibling if they were in your position. Write out these lines and stick them to your mirror. Say them every single day when you get up, when you're driving to work, when you're brushing your teeth. When you feel the start of these insecurities blooming, you need to start telling yourself these mantras. Scream them from the top of your lungs. Write them down over and over and over again in your journal until you start to feel them and believe them. These are your new truths, and this is the start of how you cultivate self-love. We decide how much power other people's words have over us. Make your own voice the loudest one in the room, internally. And know that you are worthy of love regardless of your situations in life and the things you've done. That stuff is completely irrelevant. But love and respect starts with yourself, and you have to do the practice. When I got home, I had finally been able to reach my husband, my best friends, and my mom. And their voices and their words were really encouraging, but at the same time, every time I heard their voices, I started bawling all over again. Because it was reassuring to know that I wasn't in this alone, and that I had people who did love me and who did respect me, and they didn't judge me based on my skin. But I was physically alone, and I wanted to give in to so much pity party, I guess. And now I had a choice. I could curl up on the couch in a ball and cry myself to sleep going over and over this conversation I just had. Or I could do something good for myself, something I didn't want to do in the moment, but I knew that the future me would really, really appreciate it. I needed to provide myself with some loving care. Self-care. One thing I've always loved about myself is that I've always been pretty active. Even after long breaks of being inactive, it just feels really good to move my body again. And personally, I find it both humbling and empowering to move. Humbling because when I'm moving, I can remind myself that there are people out there with flawless skin who would give anything to be able to walk up a mountain or just walk to the grocery store. And empowering because it reminds me that when I'm moving my whole body, I am so much more than just my skin. So my self-care was to journal my thoughts, allowing them to come through without any judgment, because I had had enough judgment for one day. And because moving is one of the best things I can do for myself as far as self-care goes, I drove myself to the mountains and took a hike. The hike gave me time to stop thinking, stop rehashing other people's words and other people's opinions of me. After the hike, I came home and I did some more journaling, but more positive this time. I did some skincare, some hair care, my usual self-care routine. And although it felt very unnatural in the moment, I practiced smiling and just reminding myself like, wow, it feels so good to be this confident in myself. If you're not sure how to show care to yourself, look around you and see what needs to be done right away. What is something you've been putting off that isn't really a huge chore? You might need to do some dishes, maybe you need to pay a bill, or maybe you need to throw off the blankets and go for a walk. Whatever that thing is that you know would be good for you but kind of feels like a chore, that's probably your self-care. Because remember, self-care is doing something for the future you, even though the present you doesn't want to do it. And you do have the strength to do it. I know what it's like to feel physically incapable of moving and doing these things. It's like everything is sitting on you like a ton of bricks and you actually can't move. But you can. In those moments, just do one. Fill up the sink and wash one dish. Go onto your computer and pay one bill. Throw the blankets off of you and drop 1 foot off the bed. Believe me, that first one thing is always the hardest, even if it's that first time telling yourself you're beautiful. Self-care will spiral into self-love and vice versa, and they both lead to self-acceptance. Accepting the things about ourselves that we don't really love. Because people have commented on my skin in some abhorrent and rude ways, I have come to just accept it. I can't cover it up with makeup all the time. I can't change it overnight. And honestly, this has been a 13-year journey for me. It's not that bad. When I look in the mirror, I don't really see it as such an issue anymore. Yes, I'm constantly trying to do things to help it, but it is what it is. So that's fine, I accept it. I have acne, and it's not because I don't wash my face, and it's not because I eat too much sugar and dairy, and it's not because I don't take care of my skin. I accept that there is something going on at a deeper level, at a cellular level, that I don't yet understand. The most difficult of all, though, is accepting that other people are still going to look at me and make judgments based on a 3-minute interaction with me. They're going to assume that if I'm 27 and haven't fixed it, then clearly I don't know what I'm doing, and they will tell me what I should do. Honestly, the amount of people who've given me advice without asking me anything about my own skin or what I've done for it, it's far too many. I don't want to see any skincare advice in the comment section below. A good rule of thumb is that if advice wasn't asked for and it can't be fixed in 5 minutes, don't say anything. In order to accept things, we need to admit what's going on right now. We can't change something in the future without seeing what it is right in front of us. A lot of stuff in our lives take time. They follow the season, they follow a cycle. Usually it's minimum 3 months before you start seeing any change. If you have a hard time accepting things about yourself, especially that you've been trying to change, ask yourself how long you've really been giving it a chance. And on that, what kind of energy are you giving yourself? You wouldn't expect a coworker to start working better and giving you their best work if you're constantly berating them and talking down to them and disrespecting them. So you cannot expect your body and your mind to start being better and making better choices if you're constantly berating it and disrespecting it and talking down to it. Self-acceptance can be really difficult when it's things that you can't really change and they're external, or they're going to take a while to change. Maybe you don't like your nose, or you don't like your hair, or your skin, body, whatever it is. Those things can get changed over time. They just typically tend to be expensive or put a lot of work into it, you know? You can get nose jobs, you can get $1,000 treatments for your skin, you can get new haircuts, and with body or traumas, you can do the work, you can put that in. It just takes time. But as I already said, you cannot start working towards towards something without accepting what is already there in front of you. You can't cross that bridge until you acknowledge that you're on this side of it. So practice talking to yourself the way you would a friend or a mentor or someone you admire. Often when we admire people, it's because they have similar traits to us, they're just using theirs in a different way. So if they can do it and that's what you're looking up to them for, you can do it too. So this is my story of self-love, self-care, and self-acceptance. And although on that day, 3 weeks ago, they all came together to play beautifully for me, it's taken me a lot of years to cultivate these things and have them so close and ready for me to lean on. In my opinion, self-love, self-care, and self-acceptance are the most important parts of our self-development practices. I always end my videos with, when you improve yourself, you improve the world. And one thing I think we could all agree on is that the world needs more love. But you can't give what you don't have. I really hope this video inspires you and motivates you to develop a deeper love for yourself. I hope it encourages you to do something that is on your self-care list. And I pray with every ounce of my soul that you can start accepting the things about yourself that you can and cannot change. Hopefully it makes you realize that you and you alone dictate how you feel and how you see yourself. Stop looking at yourself through such critical eyes and see yourself for the handsome man you are. Look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself 3 things that, if that was a different person, you would compliment them on. Acknowledge the things you don't love, and if you can change it, great, work on that, put together a plan. But if you can't change it, then let it be. If you'd like, please comment down below something you love about yourself, something you do to practice self-care, and something you've accepted about yourself, good or bad. I know this was a long video, but next week's is hopefully going to be a little shorter. It's going to be all about feeling the emotions, the power you get from feeling those emotions, and the importance of separating your emotions from reality. So if you don't want to miss that, please click that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you get an email as soon as it goes live, and give this video a thumbs up. Never forget, when you improve yourself, you improve the world. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.